You know, for the majority of the community, Appleton seems to be a great place to live, but for some individuals, it isn't the most welcoming place.
I was surprised to learn, to hear from students that felt walking through downtown, say for instance to the drugstore, was something that they did uncomfortably. And that's I guess was an eye-opener for me.
You have to physically and mentally prepare yourself for that, of like, oh, is today going to be another day where I get called the N-word?
When I wake up, I literally have to put on like armor. I have to know that I'm gonna probably get hit with about 10 racial microaggressions before I even enter my office.
It comes in various forms. There's some very blatant racism, and there's also microaggressions.
So what happens is, I get in my car, I go to the gas station. Right there, a racial microaggression is gonna take place, and this has happened where not only in the store is there a representation of the Confederate flag, but there's these all lives matter. Then there's I'll shoot first and ask later. Boom. So then I'm hit with that. Now I have to feel kind of like on guard. So then I get into my car. I'm on my way to work and I see a cop. So the cop follows me, not intentional, but right there, that's gonna get me really like riled. It's just gonna get me scared. So eventually I get to the office, I get to my parking lot, and now I'm like really up in guards because now I have to cross the street. And I already know that there's a chance that there's a huge chance that somebody is gonna say the N-word when I cross the street, or I might get hit. And now my mental health is kind of like, it's playing with me because I've seen too many of these racial microaggressions taking place.
People are getting verbally assaulted on a daily basis. One incident that I'll never forget that just actually recently happened. And I was walking back from my core meeting and this red car comes like driving by really slow, and it seemed like a very intentional act. And so they rolled by and they said, "You go suck that fat cock, you nigger."
It was New Year's Eve, and we had went downtown to get food from a Mr. Taco.
We'd first entered into Mr. Taco, trying to get through all of these people who were pretty drunk.
We were trying to get to the counter to order our food. This one guy who was of African-American descent, he comes up to my friend, and as she's eating her taco, mind you, and he starts, kind of getting really close to her, almost, spitting in her food as he's...
And it kind of escalated from me to asking him to move to like within 2 minutes. He was calling me the N-word lover, and he was calling Danny racial slurs. I
remember there being a lot of white females with him, and they ended up joining in on the racial slurs towards my friend. They started calling her the N-word lover as well.
So we had gotten up and they had followed us. I remember security pushing Danny. As I was walking out, I remember getting slammed into the side of the wall and my hair was getting pulled. I'm assuming it was one of the girls. Then we walked out and I had lost Danny. There was like 10 of them and they had surrounded both of us. I had turned around to see where my friend was and somebody had whacked me in the face.
They pushed me on the floor for some reason. I didn't say anything aside from, "Hey, can you guys stop?"
The hate, I remember telling my friend, sitting down that night for like 3 hours, saying, I don't understand where hate like that comes from.
And so these are very real experiences that are very, very terrifying.
What happens is it basically breaks down their psyche. So basically it can cause them to go into depression, and it can cause them to go into anxiety because of just this sense of not feeling important, not feeling as a human, and not feeling as if anyone cares about you. On a professional level, seeing the students of color that I see, their mental health is really declining because of that.
We really need to put a stop to that. rather than just making it very normalized.
Why didn't I know about this? I think that's the thing I was most upset about, was why has it taken this long for somebody to point this out to me?
So a bunch of students met at Main Hall steps. We marched down College Avenue in silence. It was a rainy, cold day, and we sat in silence, and cars were going by, slowing down, looking at us.
Because at the last minute they decided to come into City Hall. We were having an all-day budget session that day, and they rode up on the elevator and peacefully came through the City Council chambers. There were some people that were really upset, and I can tell you we're still trying to deal with that. However, I understood what they were trying to do, and I support what they did, and I give them a lot of credit for doing it. If nothing else, it really raised awareness.
And so when that happened, I think it did shake up people a little bit. It woke some people up. Some other people resisted the idea that a protest was the right way to do it.
Of the issue, no matter where people come down on or how they feel about the issue, it certainly exposed the fact that that there are issues, and they are here in Appleton, and we do need to talk about them. So.
We talked about all of these initiatives that were happening, but we still haven't seen results. So as to my knowledge, nothing has been really done yet. Words and action are two completely different things.
We had a series of meetings through the fall. A student came and saw me during open office hours and invited me to a meeting, and that then turned into a meeting where the demands were submitted.
I posted the list of demands, which was a public document that had been shared publicly before, onto our Facebook page with a statement from me being the CODA chair.
And I think what was most meaningful to me for that night was not necessarily the demands, but the experiences that students were willing to share with me. They were powerful, and I think that they very clearly illustrated how we as an institution can do a lot better than we're doing right now.
That kind of stemmed into feeling the need to address our concerns in a very strategic and very formatted way where people could actually voice their concerns.
So we had a conversation that night, and then over winter break, we really tried to meet through the shared governance committees to try to come up with a new framework, which we announced at the beginning of winter term.
I think the students educated the community, and that is not what they're supposed to be doing when they're here. They're supposed to be getting an education for themselves, but they got to the point where they were tired of not being heard.
Our role here is to be academics and to be scholars and to get an education, and a lot of that turns into us being the educators and being the ones who let's speak for our cultures and our backgrounds and things like that. I think that takes a lot from a person.
Okay. I think for me, I'm super duper proud that these students are doing racial justice work. I think the students of color don't get enough credit for the activism that they're doing and the racial justice work that they're doing. But I'm extremely proud of the students really standing up and demanding what they need, something that is really doable, and something that should have been provided to them a while ago.
I think some of the most challenging moments in dealing with race and racism in the city of Appleton has been educating white people and educating people who don't identify as people of color.
I think that that's what we're up against as a community, a campus community, a Fox Cities community, and quite honestly, a larger United States community, because there are over 150 now, probably over 200 institutions that are really having the kinds of conversations that Lawrence is having right now. But I think that the campus and the larger community are really intertwined in many ways, and it's hard to talk about one without the other.
when we heard from students on Lawrence University campus, we heard from them loud and clear that their experiences in Appleton were not acceptable. And so as the city, we were working with them around building a more welcoming community for them.
I think the discussion on campus has opened some eyes that in 2016, 2015, this still happens.
Yeah, I think that change is hard for any community. And we see this on college campuses across the country, as well as the host municipalities where these institutions are located.
For a community really that has prided itself on its engagement in making some headway with its diversity, we know that we still have some more work to do.
Tim says very frequently, we are better than this. And we certainly have aspirations of being better than this, right? We are a very welcoming place. We just need to do that for every single member of our community.
So my hope for this film is that white folks start to get it, like really start to want to get it. When I do Dismantling Racism, it's not about the folks of color in that room because they already know they're part of that, they're just a part of that pain. It's about making sure that white folks really make sure that, they need to take the time to get it. And I'm hoping that this film will do that, like really open up some eyes and really allow folks to acknowledge that racism exists. It's concrete, it's here. And in order for us to really combat that, we have to acknowledge that and then move from there.
I think that, in the end, we're on a learning journey together. We're really trying to think about these issues and understand them better.
We wouldn't be doing all of this work if we weren't hopeful for any change at all. And I think that people are really losing grasp of that, that this is a movement that is done for the future Laurentians that are coming. We're graduating, a lot of us are graduating this year, so we're not going to see the fruits of our labor, so to speak, but that's really not why we're doing this. We're doing it for future students of color who come here because we don't want them to have the same experiences that we did.